Welcome back to Alien Encounters, the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base Connection, Part 2.
Got some new evidence that may well explain what at least some of that wreckage from Roswell really was, and why it came here, and why the government chose to keep it a secret. We'll be back. New Mexico back in July of '47. And there are as many theories as there are UFO investigators, but every one of them agrees on one fact. Something unusual crashed right here on Mac Brazel's ranch near Corona, and the government covered it up. And they also claim more wreckage and bodies were found at other locations. First site mentioned near the plains of St. Augustine, that was way over in this area. And the most recent site, Randle and Schmitt's brand new theory, is closer to Roswell, probably about this area. Well, we've uncovered a pretty good explanation for at least one crash, the one on Brazel's property.
If you look at Mac Brazel's original description of what he found on his ranch, lightweight beams with strange purple markings that resembled flowers and foil-like material that kept its shape, our investigation found that that matches the type of materials used in a top-secret high-altitude spy project known as Mogul. It was far different in materials and mission from any common weather balloon.
Now, let me show you the difference. Coming up is a drawing of a Mogul weather balloon, one of the configurations. A lot of balloons, suspended pieces down here, exotic materials, and from top to bottom, it stretched over 600 feet. And it was designed to spy on the Russians to keep track of their nuclear tests. And it had an above top-secret project clearance. Now, Mogul project manager Professor Charlie Moore told me it was not uncommon for that giant Mogul balloon to be mistaken for a UFO.
When Moore and his Mogul team learned of the flap over the Roswell incident, he said they laughed, but they kept quiet about their project. Moore identified the wreckage in the Jesse Marcel picture as a Mogul ML-307B that had been launched from Alamogordo, New Mexico. He confirmed a crash would have spread wreckage over a large area. And why wouldn't anyone have recognized it? Well, Moore said no one around Roswell had ever seen one. Moore was even cleared to know about Mogul flights. And that's probably why the wreckage was sent to Wright-Pat.
Now, there's one more twist that tends to back up the Mogul theory. The former top man with Project Mogul, Colonel Marcellus Duffy, was at Wright-Pat when the Roswell wreckage arrived. He recognized it, but that story never got out. According to another former Mogul officer, retired Air Force Colonel Albert Trukowski, Colonel Duffy could not talk about it because of the secrecy. So, if it was a giant Mogul spy in the sky that went down on Brazel's ranch, something else must have crashed nearby, something with small passengers. Mogul officials can't explain that. Well, more than a few witnesses claim they saw bodies. Like a man identified as a former Air Force physician who related what an intelligence officer told him about strange bodies and a Wright-Pat connection.
The beings on that spacecraft, he relates, were not anything that he could identify from our planet. They did not appear like any human being he'd ever see, but they were obviously not anything else. So they obviously were living human beings, and some of them were injured, most of them were dead. They were taken by he and a number of other individuals to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base at that particular point in time, and he said they were put there for later evaluation, identification, examination by the Air Force and by the military.
Now, when we come back, possibly the first physical evidence that more than just wreckage from a top-secret project came to Wright-Pat. Plus some pictures that could prove UFOs are real.
Well, we've had great photographic proof for years. The question is the resistance to accepting it as being proof.
Brown Hospital on the grounds of the VA Medical Center in Dayton. And up until a few years ago, it was a very active hospital. And on the 3rd floor of this building, there was the dental lab. In that lab, a dental technician. We'll call him Jack Schmitt. And as Jack told the story to Len Stringfield, it was on a Thursday. He remembers the day quite well because Thursdays were normally very quiet days here at the VA Medical Center. And 2 men he identified as officers from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base brought him a model, an impression of a lower jawbone. They wanted a working model made.
He was to keep no records, and the mold he created to make the model was broken and thrown in the trash as the Air Force officers left. Schmitt retrieved the broken mold pieces and put them back together at home, and he made his own model. He said he knew this just wasn't human. Few have ever seen it, and those that have can't identify it. An article in Len Stringfield's new book quotes certified dental technician Bruce Phillips as saying it's not like anything he'd come across in his 20 years in the business. The teeth are flat, no cutting surfaces. The shape of the jaw is different from humans, and the arch is much deeper. If it isn't identifiable as animal or human by people who should know, what is it? Could this finally be the first hard evidence the Air Force was indeed doing tests on alien bodies out at Wright-Pat? Jack Schmitt says the jawbone model was made in 1979. And if you compare the shape of the jaw in the model with the shape of the jaw in this computer drawing of an alien, it's almost a perfect match. Some sources claim the drawing was part of a government UFO briefing in 1978, same time frame, and was based on photos from Wright-Pat. Now, the Air Force tells us they have no records of any alien picture or the briefing. No comments yet on the jawbone. For believers, this is more evidence that something is going on, and the government really doesn't want to talk about it. But are models and pictures enough to finally prove that UFOs and aliens are real?
Well, we've had great photographic proof for years. The question is the resistance to accepting it as being proof.
Dr. Bruce Maccabee is one of the most respected experts in the field of photoanalysis. And Bruce says some pictures taken near Gulf Breeze, Florida back in January by Ed Walters would have been pretty tough to fake. The first picture shows an unidentified object with an F-15 closing in. The next shows the plane flying by the object.
Here you have a situation where the airplane actually got in between the camera and the object.
Walters claims the plane made a U-turn and the object flew away at high speed. Maccabee showed me videos of other sightings around Gulf Breeze at around the same time, and they were ones that were hard, if not impossible, to explain.
Skeptics have often said, you know, if this stuff were real, you would have photos and videos. What can I say?
Now you've got photos and videos.
Now you've got photos and videos.
It's interesting to note the Air Force has never said that UFOs don't exist. Was this a break in a curtain of secrecy surrounding the real UFO story? Has the government really been covering up the story of the century? It all comes down to what you believe. And as in the past, it remains the controversy that won't die. And whether the evidence connecting Wright-Pat to the UFO phenomena is accurate or not, the base is forever a part of that legend. I'm Carl Day.